March Madness bracket was just revealed. So it's time to lock in. Okay, so first things first, I love a good underdog story, but I don't think any ones are going to be taken down this year. So automatically give the first one to Alabama right there. Maryland, West Virginia. This can be a good physical game. They're going to be bullying each other a lot. But I think I got Maryland in this game over West Virginia. San Diego State, Charleston. Charleston is a team that's very surprising. Love to see South Carolina teams winning. Charleston is a team that lost like 3 total games this year, and they looked very good this whole season. This is a 12-5 matchup to watch, and I have Charleston advancing in this game. Virginia, Furman. Furman's a game, had their best season in school history. I mean, they only lost 7 games. They're like 27-7. But I still think Virginia's going to overtake them in that game. Virginia is a very good team this year as well. NC State, a team that snuck into the tournament. Not a lot of teams thought they're like on the bubble. Not a lot thought they're going to make it or whatever it is. Creighton's always a very solid team. So I'm going to give this one to Creighton just for the fact that NC State probably shouldn't even be in the tournament. Go on Baylor versus California Santa Barbara. Barbara, not Barba. I'm going to take Baylor at the 3. I just think 14 threes are very one-sided. There is some 14s that take over threes. Like Virginia, we saw lose to Ohio that one year. I think that was like 2 years ago. So I will take Baylor, though, overall in this game. Missouri, Utah State. The Aggies are a team that also snuck into this tournament. They're looking to make a run. Missouri, I think they're a very solid team out of the SEC. 7-10s are games that could go either way. And I'm going to take Missouri in here. Princeton, the Ivy League champions, playing against Arizona, the Pac-12 champions. And I think here, I'm going to take Arizona. Arizona is just way too solid to lose to an Ivy League team. So for that fact, I will be taking Arizona in this game. Over here, come back down to, we got Maryland, Alabama. Bama's just way too solid. They're a great team overall. Finished 4th in the country. A well-deserved 1 seed. Taking on Maryland here and give me Bama in that game. Charleston, Virginia. Okay, here is my second, you could say second, but my first major upset. My first upset could have been Charleston over San Diego State. San Diego State's an alright team, but I still took Charleston over them. I'm going to take Charleston over Virginia here. That was the wrong one, but Charleston over Virginia. I think Charleston is going to come to play in this tournament. They're going to give Virginia a real run for their money, and they're going to overtake them. They're going to beat them by like 6 or so. High-scoring game, high game, a bunch of rebounds, bunch of bodies, physical game, and I think Charleston is going to take that game. So Creighton, Baylor. I think Baylor, again, is just a really solid team to lose to a team like Creighton. Even though Creighton could very well make a run. Watch out for Creighton. They could very well make a run. But I am going to take Baylor just for the sheer fact of a 3-6. I always like threes in those games. Moving down, Missouri versus Arizona. Again, Zona is just way too solid to lose to a team like Missouri. They are a good team, don't get me wrong, but I am taking Zona in this game. I think they're just way too good to lose into this game. Bama, Charleston, okay. If Charleston can pull this off, hats off to them. They can make a run in this. But in my bracket, this is where the Cinderella ends right here. I have Bama, again, way too solid. Brandon Miller is a stud. He is not going to let that happen. Baylor, Arizona. Again, Arizona is just way too good. So kind of a little bit of a chalked up Elite 8 matchup right here. But I'm taking Alabama, Arizona in that Elite 8, 1 and 2. I hope I don't have all 1 and 2s. That'd be so boring. But for now, this South is just too good with Arizona and Alabama in that South. So I am going to be taking these 2 teams. And ultimately, I will be taking the 1 seed Alabama to move on to the Final Four. I just really like Alabama in this tournament. And overall, they're such a solid team. I don't see anyone in the South really dominating them. Maybe Arizona in that Elite 8 matchup, but that's about it for me. Now moving on over here. Again, just taking ones. Northern Kentucky. Oh, they're not going to put up a fight against Houston. It's going to be one of those blowout 16-1 games. Iowa, Auburn. Iowa's a team that's always pretty solid in these tournaments. Even though they lost last year to Richmond, I believe. And Auburn, I'm not sure much about Auburn in this game. But for the fact that Iowa lost to Richmond last year, and I don't know about Auburn, I'm still going to take Iowa on a little bit of a redemption arc. That's the second 8 over 9. Miami, Drake. I feel like Miami is they're always pretty solid at basketball, except for the year that they had that heartbreaking loss to Loyola Chicago. But I don't know much about Drake, and for that fact, I knew Drake was raw like a year or 2 ago. They were like undefeated for most of the season, but this isn't a year or 2 ago. This is now, and I'm taking Miami also just because they share a stadium in football with the Dolphins. So I will be taking Miami here because I relate anything to the Fins. Indiana, Kent State. No question, Indiana is raw. They have that one raw player. His name is slipping my mind. I remember watching him last year. He's a stud. So I am taking Indiana, no question, in that game. Iowa State, an 11 seed that made a run last year. I was watching highlights, and Pitt, Mississippi State, I believe that's the first 4 game. They're playing on Tuesday night. So Iowa State, I'm going to take them over. Because we did see UCLA a year or 2 back when they were our first 4 team, and they ran far. They beat USC, and then they beat whoever was in their way. But I will be taking Iowa State in this game. Kennesaw State is upset potential. I'm telling you, they have a stud player on their team. Xavier, a 3 seed. Kennesaw State is upset material. Look out for that. And because of that one stud player on Kennesaw State, if he has a good game and he takes over, Kennesaw State here gets that win. I'm giving that Kennesaw State to make my major upset in this tournament so far. All right, Texas A&M, Penn State. I like the way Penn State played in the Big Ten tournament, the championship, all that. I also like the way Texas A&M played in that tournament, their SEC tournament, getting to Bama in the finals and beating Bama in the regular season near the end. But that's just because they're sitting everyone. But for that reason, I'm going to take Texas A&M. I really like the look of the Aggies in this game. Texas Colgate, I don't think Colgate's a team that's always like a 15 seed every single year. You can kind of lock them at a 15, toothpaste. But I think Texas, I think they're gonna have a field day with Colgate. It might be a little close, but I think Texas will get it done. And I'm looking at this now; it's pretty much all chalked up except for Kennesaw State. So one major upset and none besides that. So I'm going to Houston here over Iowa. Okay, Houston's really dominant, great defensive team. Really like Houston. Miami, Indiana, I'm going to Indiana, chalking up a little bit. Iowa State, Kennesaw State, a team. Oh, okay. Iowa State, Kennesaw State. Again, if Kennesaw State's player can take over the game, then he's a huge difference maker. And for this, we always see like a high seed make a run. And in this bracket, my high seed taking a run is Kennesaw State over Iowa State in this game. All right, I'm taking Kennesaw State. And then moving on down, Texas A&M, Texas. The Battle of Texas, all right. This is a huge game right here. Texas A&M, Texas. And honestly, I like the look of Texas A&M over Texas in this game. I really like Texas A&M. The games I've watched, they played solid, played really well. And I'm taking them over Texas in this game. Houston, Indiana. This could be a very, very good matchup if this does happen in real life. Houston, Indiana. I like the look at Indiana. I like the look at Houston. And in this game, I'm going to take Indiana over Houston, actually. The Midwest region is kind of my upset region to say. And then Kennesaw State, Texas A&M. This is where I have... Oh, I don't know. I feel like this is the game where the magic sort of runs out. Maybe they can make like a Loyola Chicago push back in 2019. But I am taking Texas A&M in this game. I just really like the look at Texas A&M. I don't know, going into this tournament, I feel confident about them for some reason. But I do have Texas A&M losing to Indiana. I just really like to look at Indiana overall as a team. And I'm putting Indiana into that Final Four out of the Midwest. Moving on down, here we have Purdue versus Texas Southern, or what is that, FDU? I'm not sure exactly who FDU is, but it's not going to matter because Purdue. I think Purdue is like the weakest one in this tournament, though, the weakest 1 seed. But I am going to give them an automatic advance again, no 16s being won this year. Memphis, FAU. I like the look of Memphis. Florida Atlantic, I'm not really sure on. So I'm just going to take Memphis for that reason. Oral Roberts moving on to a 12. Back up from 15 being Ohio State about a year or 2 ago. Oral Roberts versus Duke. Oral Roberts, don't be surprised. 12 versus 5 is always good upset potential. There's always always a 12 being a 5 every year. Duke is very solid. I haven't really seen any Duke games this year, but I still am going to take Duke over Oral Roberts. Tennessee, Louisiana. I like to look at Tennessee way too much for them to be losing to Louisiana right here. Providence, Kentucky. Kentucky's going to get redemption. Don't lose again in the round of 64. All right, they're going to get their get back. Montana State, I don't know. They just seem like an upset potential here. I don't really know anything about either of these teams, but Kansas State to be a 3, that must mean they have to be pretty solid. So I'm going to give that to Kansas State. Montana State, if they pull up an upset, I guess I called it right there kind of verbally. Michigan State, USC. USC is a team that lost a couple years back at the first 4. Michigan State always disappoints me when I pick them in the tournament. But I'm going to see if this is the year we can break the drought, and I'm going to pick Michigan State to see if they can sort of move on and not upset me. And Marquette, Vermont. Marquette is a very, very good team. So this is all chalked up right here. This is my chalked up region. The East is my chalked up region. Purdue, Memphis. Don't be surprised if, honestly, Memphis could make a push against Purdue. I think Purdue, again, is one of the weakest ones in this tournament. I will give them the win over Memphis. But Duke, Tennessee, I like the look a lot. So I'm giving that to Tennessee. Again, it's still all chalked up. Kansas State, Kentucky. I don't know a lot about Kansas State or Kentucky. But for this reason, I don't want it to be all chalked up. So I will take Kentucky over this. I don't want it to be all chalked up, all numbers-wise. Michigan State, Marquette. Marquette's way too solid. Purdue, Tennessee, I'm giving it to Tennessee. I don't think Purdue, again, has the capabilities of going really far in this tournament. Zach Edey, the big center, I just think he's not going to have the greatest game against Tennessee. I think they will fall to Tennessee. Now, Marquette will beat Kentucky. Moving on to this. And Tennessee, Marquette, a very good matchup in this Elite Eight. And I'm going to give this one to Marquette. I just like, if you're a smaller school, I mean, they're obviously a big program, but they're not in one of these big conferences. So if you're able to get a 2 seed out of one of these smaller conferences, you have to be really dang good at basketball, all right? You have to be a really dang good team, and they're going to prove they are a really dang good team. They're going to be moving on to the Final Four. Moving on to this side, Kansas over Howard. Again, no 16s beating a 1. Arkansas, Illinois. Illinois always disappoints me when I pick them every year. I don't know if Kofi's still there. I don't watch a bunch of college basketball. All right, football is my bread and butter. But I will take Arkansas in this game. I know they have those 2 old twins on their team, so for that reason, I'm taking Arkansas. St. Mary, VCU. VCU is a team. I think they won the Atlantic 10. I believe that's what conference they're in. St. Mary's, VCU. St. Mary's is always a really solid school as well in basketball, and for that reason, I'll give it to St. Mary's. UConn, Iona. UConn is very solid this year. I like the look of UConn. They could make a very good push. Iona, you are going to be knocked out. I'm sorry. They always do find a good way to make the tournament, though, Iona. Props to you guys. TCU is raw in every sport this year, so it's TCU moving on. ASU and Nevada don't even have to really vie for that spot. Gonzaga, Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon's always pretty good at basketball, too, but it is Gonzaga, so I don't really think they're going to put up... They'll put up a fight, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Gonzaga's going to take it pretty steadily. Northwestern, Boise State. Northwestern is a team that finally sees the tournament and has hoped to make the most of it. I'm pretty sure last time Northwestern made it, it was a couple years ago. I was watching at a banquet and they lost on a heartbreaking loss or something like that. So I will give them the win. UNC Asheville is a school not far from here, actually. But I knew some people that coached at UNC Asheville, head coach of basketball a while back. But UCLA, got to get that dub there. UCLA very solid with their point guard. Kansas, Arkansas. It'll be Kansas here. Kansas versus Arkansas, I should say. But Kansas is going to get the W over AR Kansas. St. Mary's, UConn. UConn's so good this year. TCU, Gonzaga. I like TCU in every single sport this year. I'm taking TCU over the Bulldogs. Don't hate me for that, Bulldogs fans. Northwestern, UCLA. This is a pretty good game here, actually. I think this one could go either way. I will take UCLA just because they're just so dang good at the sport. Kansas, UConn. I do have UConn here, actually, over Kansas. I do like the look of UConn a lot this year. TCU versus UCLA. Oh, this is a great game here. Battle of the abbreviations. Texas Christian University versus University of California, Los Angeles. Give me Los Angeles, LA. University of LA is moving on. UConn, LA. Give me UConn in that matchup. But start off on this side. Alabama, Marquette. This is where Marquette kind of finds their maker. Alabama is just going to give them... they're going to give them something on that matchup. And then Indiana, UConn. I really, really like Indiana, and I really, really like UConn. So this one is tough for me, and honestly, I think I have a pretty good solution for this game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, UConn's heads, Indiana's tails. Indiana, congratulations. So it said tails. Tails is Indiana, so I have Indiana moving on to the national championship. All right, Alabama, Indiana. Again, I think Alabama is crazy. Indiana, I really like as well. But Alabama is just too dang good. This 1 seed gets the dub. And for my score, I always just enter something random. Let's go 73 to 67. That sounds good enough to me. So Alabama, any Crimson Tide fans out there, there you go. You guys have won the national championship in basketball. No, this is not football, in case you guys were wondering. But Alabama wins the national championship. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure to like, subscribe, keep God number one. Look out for Alabama in the national championship, and I'm out. You looking so fine.